Welcome to Gerald Johan van Waas educational channel. Today I will talk again about my book Sound in Form. I'll give some other examples of what you can find in the book. A book which is called Sound in Form, Methodical Synesthesia, or Controlled Synesthesia even, and the book is out on Trafford and in the US. I'm working on having a 2-volume edition, so there are 2 parts in the book. The first part is the meaning of the word, which is the theory, how it's developed, how you can learn what words mean, words in general, based upon the meaning of sounds, and of how you can combine them together. There's a whole method which explains how you have to do this and how you can change the words into forms and how you can analyze them that way. The second part is using this theory and all the knowledge of it and checks all the scripts, how they are built up. And it's called the application of the word. The application of the word refers to the deliberate making of scripts based upon the meaning of sounds, and there's a whole system behind it, and I explain this, and I also explain how every script and every language adapts to its environment, and how it is also deliberately made this way to make it work in this environment. So the first book is more about the letter combinations, the whole foundation, how you also can make the drawings and the interpretations. The second one is more like the building blocks to build a local script that fits to what is needed over there. In general, you can say that there is an underlying theory which is a natural theory, so it is the building blocks of nature. It's a natural logical system which at some points in history was called the Logos. You can find this theory at several occasions and several associations, but it's always associated with the word. The word is sometimes associated religiously, because the building blocks of these languages also led to God names, which I say that. Sometimes these names are not God names, but they are used like in Kabbalah and so on. They are really orientations that are important, and these were the building blocks for several religions, or even for some systems of thought that led from there. Words of importance come out of it. This Logos is not just a natural language, it's also a design language, so it is adapted into several scripts deliberately, so that we lost some knowledge how to do this, but they always deal with these ideas behind it, and they seek for a local application which is in balance, which fits to the elements that are in that environment more dominant. And sometimes you can find a philosophy that is leading the whole system, and you can find local orientation points that are used as anchor points in these scripts. And I will give one example, which is from the part 2 in my book, and that's the BABBAYIN script. And I make here a comparison to the Indus script, because it is almost sure that it evolved from people that originally lived somewhere in the Indus region, most probably somewhere at a river, which I will explain later, and later they moved to the Philippines, and then at that point they're no longer living around a river, but they're living in water, in the great waters with all these islands. So they changed the letters accordingly, and they made a new script, and it fits to the new environment. I'm not talking about the Indus script here, but I will take the first letter and I make the comparison where it comes from. Every first letter in every script, almost in every script, is the letter A, because this is the starting point, the alpha where the system is building around it. There are a few exceptions, but I'm not talking about that here. It has its reason why there are exceptions. So the building blocks of scripts is based upon a universal idea, and it looks for the local application. That's why the second book is called The Application of the Word. The letter A has a universal meaning, which I express here very well here, how far it reaches. It is looking for the place where to start, the place, really the place, and like in a wave, it is actually the forming of the first really visible wave, but it's also forming of where you can recognize a form. So the whole region of the A is the starting point of the formation, which I expressed there very well. If you know what is formed, and you can really say like, okay, I have a function here, it's the next letter, the T, it's a highlight of the focus, and if it's leading to something else, it's the K. So these are the three phases of the first dimension of the letters, but you can see it is expressed here in that form very well. What do I have then? You have the universal theory, but I also have the local theory, the local application. So where does it start? The A point is then my first focus on every object what I'm going to use for the same purposes. So I have to look for the starting point. Where is the local starting point? What can be useful for all the objects to start from? So in which space does it happen? And you also have to put it onto a practical time frame. This is the way of thinking how also the building blocks of the language and of the sounds and of the letters are always built upon. So for the Indian script then, you can see already how well this ATK expression there with the A as the full explanation of the is very much similar to the Indus letter of A, and it is a little bit different in the BABBAYIN letter from around Polynesia. But the Indus is expressed this way for another reason why the BABBAYIN is expressed differently. The Indus A letter has the first focus of where the whole population is building their associations around. Just like on the every population that is living around a stream is depending on the stream, is depending on the fertilization that is filling up on the banks of the rivers. It is a very well expression of that starting point, as you can see here. There are more expressions possible from there, because it's not only during the day and during the daily life situation that they find a starting point, which is the river. They always also have a similar orientation in the sky. Why? Okay, we have the space during the day, and we have the time frame, the time clock during the night, and also there you can recognize where you can start the A from. So the three guiding stars, as you can say, leads you to the starting point of a new cycle. The three kings, as to speak, are leading you to the direction of the space that you are going to limit, and within this space you can put the time frames on it. The whole space where everything is moving is always expressed by the H. But in this case, because the people are living on the stream, not on the full stream, on the sea, this is no longer a local stream, but it's the general stream. So all these letters are having the form of the waves, the general waves in the BABBAYIN script. So, on one hand you have the river bank then in India, and it became the water of the seas in general, in Polynesia. And they are all very important there because all their focuses are not focused upon the land. They have these kind of sticks, maps where they orientate themselves on. So these maps are not based upon what is happening on the land, but what is happening on the water. All the streams are followed, so all their orientations are from the space are orientating themselves on the water. Every letter will adapt to this kind of focus. And if you give you just one example, which is seemingly completely different from all significations in other languages, because the K, the universal meaning of the K, is a distinction where you have a kind of moment where you have to adapt. And most of the time it means it feels very negative because you have to break the normal way of our directions, and you have this breaking point, and there you have to make a change. Now here on the sea with the boat, where they're always on, the adaptation and the changes are all the time. So this, for them, it's a positive thing to know this very well. The car in their language looks very much like their ships, and you can see on the both sides are a couple of people, and they adapt constantly to the streams, and they look at the streams and they adapt themselves to it. So the whole spiral is the full water stream, and the adaptation, as you can see there in the middle, the adaptation to the streams is constantly. So this is indeed a distinction, a moment of adaptation, but this adaptation is constantly. And they depend on each other. They depend on every person. So the breaking points are immediately adapted. In that way, the adaptation, the full adaptation to the breaking point becomes something positive. And that's why the ka in this language does not mean breaking, but it means connecting. And it means you, it means together, it means with. And that all refers to this letter and how the people on the boat adapt to the changes. So it is indeed a breaking point, but it is a very great adaptation to everything that has to be in a changing position. So it still fits with the universal meaning, but the local meaning makes it something completely different. What I did in the book is I adapted the universal meanings to the local meanings, and I had some words that refer to any of these words that are associations that you can use all the time to make a kind of rebus, to make it work for the combinations of letters, and then you can understand already what is happening in these letters. Another letter you can see here, the M. M usually is mass, material. You can see it's filled up. So it's the stream, it's completely filled up, but it doesn't necessarily need to be about the sea. It can mean anything. So any material it can be. And I translated it to the local translation as the carrier. Now if I have this method that I explained in my book of the BABBAYIN, and I use it to see if it does fit with the local meanings of words, I have some examples. So I have here the word ammah. So if I use the rebus with the M and the A, then I can translate it as what leads to what carries. It's also the carrier. So the meaning, the leading part or the carrying part is equally big. So what is the carrier, which is also the leader at the same time, and the word means father. Okay, it fits more or less. What finds its own application of reproducing themselves is the mother. What lead to an application of what can lead to a further modification. So the application that has to adapt further it's the child, or it's just one more word, the bundok, what carries within and becomes stronger within. So it is carried from within and it becomes stronger. So there's something that is stronger, and it's inside, and the strength is getting stronger and stronger and stronger. What can it be? The word means mountain. And so you can translate everything like a rebus, and it still fits, because I found the universal meanings, I know the universal meanings, and I found the most easy applications to the local meanings, and they fit. So this is a kind of method you can use on the BABBAYIN script. Something similar has been made by Edo Nyland and it's based upon the Basque language, and he also used it as a codified language. So you have the rebus, you combine these words, you have a universal, local meaning, and you see if it fits to the universal meanings. He also compared it to a lot of languages, and not all the languages might fit, I don't know, but they fit to a lot of languages, and you can recognize the underlying meanings. Also another proof that the universal theory can be made. I didn't. I went a little bit further than that, because I looked for the universal meaning underneath that, not just underneath the Basque language. So this is a book that is a very good addition to my own book, because I only mentioned it, but it is very useful as well. Other languages, other scripts that also very useful here is Barry Fell, also had some interesting associations. I worked it out further in my book as well. So today volume 1 and volume 2 are all into one book. It's available on Amazon. It's even available on bulb.com for the people in Europe and some other places I know. And I'm planning to make 2 separate volumes of this as well, so that you can work on read the theory separately, and the scripts, how they can be associated on a different volume. Anyhow, thanks for watching again. Just check the website out, or subscribe to my channel, and you get some extras all the time. This was also a fragment from my book. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.